5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I have a hard time doing that. I was practicing it the other day. I was like, I can't get. That's just because when the replay starts, it always jumps ahead. But hey, everybody, welcome back to Take a Knee Tuesdays. We are temporarily. Oh wait, here he is, Mike Wallace, coming to join us after some technical difficulties. But Mike, are you coming in better now? Hey, Jen, what's the call?
Man, I'll do the best I can, brother. It's yeah, you're frozen most of the time.
Well, there's what's the call-in number, Jen? Yeah, I thought that's what you were talking about.
No, I meant he can join on a browser on his phone.
Oh, I was saying. Oh, Mike was suggesting joining from your phone. Yeah. If and just doing it on a browser on your phone. Just that might give you a better connection, Mike. Yeah. But either way, we've got a guest.
I would love to tell you that I'm copying what you're saying. So, I mean, if you just want to go live and just do it, I'm catching about every, no kidding, 8th word or something like that. So,
okay. Well, no, right. We're good on our end. So we'll keep it going. And Mike, you could join us in the comments even. But if you want to try joining from your phone, I'll text you. It's like technical difficulties.
I guess I could try it.
You heard me about the phone?
It's a perfect time to pause and breathe.
Yeah, right. This is like perfect topic. It's a bunch of military guys who aren't good at technology, and it's like frustrating. But we'll let Mike figure that out, and because we as we know, it's a busy week for our guest Brianna Renner from CEO of the Veterans Yoga Project. And quick background on how we having this conversation today. So lucky to have you join us. Is Mike was doing a Blue Water Advisor cohort up in DC, and one of the members going through, Jen Gross, I saw in her LinkedIn, she left a comment on Mike's LinkedIn post saying thanks for doing this and everything, and so I saw the comment and I saw the Veterans Yoga Project right in her headline, and it's like, there's the magic of LinkedIn right there. It's like I had never heard of that before, and I'm one of the few West Point grads that are kind of into all this guru stuff. I've gone to Mexico and spent time with a shaman and done some fun stuff. But, and so I was then she obviously introduced us to you. So, and we know it's a big week. Veterans Day coming up, happens to be a big week for you. So just great timing here wanted to think about mindfulness during military retirement. So I'll come back to that. I just want to let you introduce yourself and Veterans Yoga Project. Take the time you need. I know you're a veteran yourself, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am, sure. Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you so much, Mike. It's a pleasure and an honor to meet you both. I'm so happy to be here. So my name's Brianna. I served in the Marine Corps for 5 years, from 98 to 03. I was an avionics technician, stationed back and forth between Miramar, San Diego, and Iwakuni, Japan. I was a dancer before I joined the Marine Corps, so it's a logical transition, really. And I practiced yoga once. My mom took me to a yoga class once when I was home on leave, and I did not love it. I spent the entire time in class. Competitive restorative is what I called it. The teacher was beautiful. She's a very dear friend. But I myself took it way too seriously, right? I had to be perfect at everything. It wasn't until a few years later when we started having kids that I recognized that I needed to do something for myself. I noticed I would get angry very quickly, and my mood swings were really just sort of off the charts, and I was falling into some unhealthy habits. So I needed to change, and I needed to do something fast. So I started practicing yoga again. And what I discovered was that it was the perfect opportunity for me to just be me. I could just move and breathe. And I wasn't a mom. I wasn't a wife. I was just me. And it was my time on the mat. When the kids were small, they would say, "Mommy, why are you going to yoga so much?" I'm like, "Trust me, you want me to go practice for this hour. I'll be a much better person when I come back." And that was 17 years ago. So I've been practicing yoga pretty consistently for 17 years now. I've been teaching for 11. I found the Veterans Yoga Project by way of sheer accident and coincidence, right? Coincidences, I think, happen for a reason. And I happened to meet a couple of folks. I live in New Hampshire, and I had just started teaching yoga up here. And one of my students suggested that, or mentioned she was about to teach yoga at the VA. The White River Junction VA is maybe 40 minutes from our house, and asked if it's something I would be interested in. And I said, yes. I had taken a workshop just prior to that where I met a Marine who was also practicing yoga. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm not the only one doing this, right? Like sometimes, at least for me, right? Sometimes it's very isolating. We feel like we're the only ones doing anything. So it was really eye-opening to meet other veterans who were also practicing yoga. So I started teaching at the VA. I took a workshop, the Mindful Resilience for Trauma Recovery Training with Dr. Dan Libby, who's our founder. And it was a moment when I knew that this was what I was meant to do. It was my call to service beyond the service, right? My call to service outside of the uniform. And I've been with the organization almost 10 years. So April of next year will be 10 years. I'm honored to have served in every capacity, from volunteer in all facets of the organization. And now I'm very honored to serve as the Chief Executive Officer.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I mean, that resonates so much with the conversations that Mike and I have with many retirees who, are getting out. Often what I hear them say to me is, Scott, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. And, and yet, what you did is you recognized, hey, you were going, whether it's your transition or post-military life, that, hey, I had a problem and I found a way to solve it, and it ended up being the thing that became your passion that we all kind of, seek over time. So I was wondering if you could dig in a little bit more about your transition out of the military and maybe how that influences a little bit as well.
Yeah. So in 2003, I was actually stationed in Japan during the invasion into Iraq and into Kuwait at that point. And I was on a stop loss. So because I was deployed, they're like, well, you're not going anywhere. You're here for a while. And all of a sudden, within almost literally overnight, they're like, no, pack your bags, you're going home, you're getting out. Because my end of service was August. And this was mid-July. So they sent me home. And long story short, when I did get out to make the transition as a female from active duty to now a spouse, I'd wear my, Marine Corps shirts, and I had the veteran plates on my car and all of that. And the assumption was, oh, your husband's in the military. Yes. And right. Like, this is my shirt. That's my car with, my own plates on it. So, my transition, I don't know if things are any better now, but 20 years ago, it was very glossed over. So I almost had to interject, nope, I was in the service, and this is what I did, and this was my experience. So my transition was, I would say, tough. And then when my husband got out, he did 2 enlistments. So he got out about 3 years later. I let him know, I said, hey, your transition out of the military is going to be tough, right? It's a rude awakening to go from one extreme to the other, really. And it was tough, but because I had gone through that already, I was able to sort of help navigate that a little bit. But being a guy, it was much, I don't know that it was easier, but when he would present his veteran plates, or when he'd present his, wear a shirt or anything like that, it was just assumed that it was him, that he was the one representing all of that. So yeah, when I did get out, I really didn't know what I wanted to do either. I was very fortunate that my job translated. As an avionics technician, I was able to just translate into the civilian world. It was a pretty easily translatable job, and I loved it. But it wasn't necessarily my passion, even though I loved the work. So being able to be around veterans in a way that like supports one another and is just such a supportive community, it really did bring me back into that sense of camaraderie and that sense of unity that we get when we're in the military. And yoga, right, is all about that sense of unity. So it really did translate easily once I got there.
Right. But yoga is also a little bit about kind of self-care, right? And so like that's where we have this dilemma, whether it's military transition or military retirement. And Mike, I'm going to check with your audio. I saw you logged in here in a second because I want to get your thoughts on this. We're used to being in a unit, so we're responsible for other people. And yet now it's like, okay, I got to transition out. I got to figure out what's important for me, my family, and just the stress, because I call it decision stress. Like all of a sudden you have to make decisions. There's no SOPs or guidelines. There's checklists and recommendations to follow, you know, how to do a resume properly and stuff, but none of it's as systematic as military life is. And Mike, you know better than most of us. So I'm going to check your audio here because I want to see if you can still hear us. Is this working?
So can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you have feedback?
I got you. Yeah. You'd be proud of me, Scott. I'm working video on the laptop and audio through the cell phone. So as long as it's working for you, it's working for me. So
no, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. But no, yeah, Brianna, Mike, I wanted to go ahead.
No, Brianna, I love how you just kind of captured that, because you just kind of boil it down to, you know, a couple of things come to mind. Having been a veteran and stepped into transition and career progression, right? Like I remember that time, right? And all the associated uneasiness, angst, right? And we talked to our members about that, and we conveyed to them, hey, this is going to feel a little bit different, right? And arguably, the angst and a little bit of the stress that they're feeling when they go through that time period, it's different and unique because the skill sets they had back in uniform with their team aren't really applicable, right, in this new phase, right? And so first question that I have for you, what advice would you have for those individuals facing that new time in new skills, right? A lot of them are senior leaders. They don't get to say when the meetings start. They don't get to say when the meetings end. They don't get to, you know, ask all the questions. They're answering the questions, right? And it's this whole new kind of era that they're stepping into that they're perfectly capable of doing it, but there is this time period where they go through and they angst. And the other thing I just wanted to call out is the way you explained, you know, wearing the uniform. You know, it was one team, one fight, right? You know, there are very few places where you can walk into a room and instantly have everybody focused on the same objective and just moving forward, right? And that's the environment that you know, that we held so dearly and that we were drawn to, and that we made those lifelong bonds with. And one of the things that frustrates me about, you know, transition is the first thing that the vernacular I've developed is the ocean of goodwill. They try to strip from you, is they take away that unity and that teamness from you. You're now an individual, and now you have to decide what you want to do and where you're going and what, you know, your approach is. That just in and of itself is a stressful, you know, change for us because we're not used to that. So I'll stop, you know, yapping right there and get your thoughts on some of that.
Yeah, those are great comments, Mike. I think, so we see this quite a bit with our, so we have a 200-hour yoga teacher training, and it's for veterans. And we just graduated our third cohort, and they're amazing. And these teachers now go out and bring yoga to their veteran and active duty community. And one of our teachers, the very first day, she reminds everybody, you only get this first day once, right? You only get to be in this student seat for this short period of time, because after that, you're the teacher, right? So for someone making that transition who has had that high level of responsibility, that high level of decision making, give yourself that opportunity to be the student, to listen and to hear and absorb what is going on around you, and then take that, right? Because from that, you can decide what kind of, not what kind of person you're going to be, what kind of worker you're going to be in the civilian world. Are you going to be that person who says, no, my way is the right way every time and just sort of plow through? Or are you going to be the kind to sit back and take it and absorb and listen, building that sense of community and fostering that community as you move forward into your professional career?
I love that. Like, own it, right? You're not expected to have all the answers. You're not supposed to have all the answers. Yet, I think a lot of times we thrust that on ourselves, right? We tell ourselves, "Oh no, we're supposed to have all the answers," and that just adds to the stress. But I love how you phrase that: own it, take it. This is acceptable, right? Here's your time period for this. I think as you mature into that new life, there will come a time where you won't be able to own that. So you might as well own it and take it while you can. It's yours, right? As you move through that. And I just love how you throw that out there. That is powerful, right? And we need to reinforce that with our members to encourage them. Hey, you get one chance to do this. Don't pass it up, right?
Yeah.
So, Brianna, I want to ask you, probably this, you could elaborate on your programs, whether it's doing just mindfulness, at home alone, or doing some yoga, going through a program. What do you see as the best measures for success, or what does success look like for a veteran who's going from scratch, saying, I want to get into yoga, mindfulness. I realize there's a benefit in this when it comes to reducing stress, whatever that means. I'm brand new to this idea. What are some just quick points on, hey, why this is beneficial, or maybe what to kind of do next to get started? Whether it's going to a yoga class or just sitting and watching a YouTube video about meditation. It can be it's almost too easy, right? More people should be doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Success is just that, right? Showing up. We are very of the mindset, right, that this is your practice, and listen to your body, honor your body, right? All of those things, do what feels right and what feels best. So I've been teaching at the VA now. This April will be almost 10 years.
Wow.
And I tell all of my students, right, do what you need. I'm just here to offer suggestions, take them or leave them. And I throw in the little joke, I have kids, I'm used to not being listened to, So one day I was teaching class and I had a student come in at least halfway through class. There was maybe 20 minutes left of an hour class. And she came in and she sat. And she just sat. I finished the rest of class, taught the rest of class. And at the end, she walked up to me and said, thank you. That's exactly what I needed today. So success is going to be different for everyone, right? And there's different units of measure, of course. However, if you're brand new and, right, because some of this, there's still a lot of stigma behind yoga and meditation. And I think it's becoming destigmatized slowly. But there's still like a big stigma around these practices. So if it's new to you, I would just try it, right? Just go to a class, watch a YouTube video, even if it's just at home and you're not practicing, but you're just watching, seeing what it's like. And the other thing to remember is that if you don't resonate with the teacher, you don't have to stay there, right? Much to Mike's point, right? You get to choose your own adventure. So find another teacher, find another style, find another practice that calls to you, that maybe resonates with you a little bit more. There's a myriad of styles and practices out there. The one that works for you is the one that's going to support your own mental health and well-being.
Now, you hit on earlier that there is a community aspect of yoga, and a big part of military transition and military retirement is who do you know? We've got a network. And while yes, during the yoga session it's pretty quiet, and you're not getting to know each other, but it's a little bit, let's say, outside the box. You're going to meet different people who are going to be in different communities. It's not going to always be kind of that same, just, more military retirees, circle. Anyways, you're in a community. There's other ways to get involved. And a lot of times veterans just don't know where to network in. So maybe this is a way to get a dual benefit. Have you seen a lot of, good connections come out of, veterans going through your program?
Yes. Connections and like personal connections and connection to the veteran community again. I had a student once come through my class who he openly admitted for the first time in decades that he was a veteran, right? It wasn't something that he had resonated with, but he had been a practitioner of yoga and came to the class at the VA for the very first time and openly admitted to all of us that he had served decades ago. So I think that and yoga is this sort of language that's translatable, right? If you go to a yoga class on the East Coast and you go to a yoga class on the West Coast, if it's a style that you like, right, it's going to be something that you're familiar with. So as military, as retirees, right, as we travel and as we figure out, right, where we're going to land our roots and where our roots are going to grow and that sort of thing, it is something that we can practice along the way, and that we can meet different people and make those connections along the way. And much like, we used to say the Marine Corps is small, right? It's a small Marine Corps. The yoga community is just as small. So there's that sense of cohesiveness too.
Great.
Hey, Brianna, if I could just ask just a quick question, like not being, hugely familiar with yoga and what would I expect in a session, in an hour long session? I mean, just hit the high points. What does that look like for me if I was to show up?
Sure. So I'll speak on the behalf of the Veterans Yoga Project. So we incorporate 5 tools. So there'll be a little bit of meditation, a little bit of breath work, some mindful movement, some guided rest, and gratitude. So those will be the 5 components that we incorporate into any one of our classes. So I don't know if I can shamelessly plug here, but we offer classes online as well as in person.
For sure.
So so any one of our classes that you attend will incorporate those 5 tools in some capacity.
Yeah, please go into, I want to pull up the website here. Go into your programs and how you want to describe what you guys do.
Sure. So I'll just speak to this picture for just a moment. So that's Christian Allaire. He was on our board for a while. He was a retired Coast Guard, and he was our chief operating officer for a little bit as well. An amazing yoga teacher. And this was a fundraising event that we held on the USS Hornet in Alameda, California, 2019. So this was a few years ago. But we have a few different trainings that we utilize as part of our programming. So what I call our flagship training, our Mindful Resilience for Trauma Recovery training, that was designed by Dr. Libby, who was doing his postdoc work at the West Haven VA in Connecticut. And he started incorporating tools of mindful resilience into his sessions. And one of his veterans came up to him and said, "Hey, doc, I didn't need my medication to sleep last night. I meditated." So there was Veterans Yoga Project was born from that. Okay. And over the course of that training, it is 17 and a half hours. We discuss the psychology and physiology of trauma, how and why it sits in the body, and why these tools of mindful resilience are an effective complementary practice to support post-traumatic growth. So navigating signs and symptoms of trauma, right? Anxiety and depression, anger, and those hyper and hypoarousal states and fluctuations that we go through, why breath work is so important. And I would argue that breathing is the most important piece to a practice. And it is a really effective way to calm the fight or flight and to engage in that space of rest and digest and finding that balance between effort and ease on a daily basis.
Nice.
So Mike, like the photo you're looking at, that's what it looks like. It's breath work and kind of moving in and out of these positions slowly, and it's like we can all do it. And I guess my last question for you before I wanted to let you go, because I know you got a big day, so I want to hear about the gratitude week coming up. But I just want to touch on that idea of trauma. Just the idea of getting out of the military. It's always going to be traumatic, regardless of how your military career went, what you experienced, one way or the other, whether it was combat related or not. Recognize you don't necessarily have to go get through a 17-hour training, but recognize this is what it's about, and that's why it's useful. I mean, geez, look at all these resources. And a lot of guys are looking for something extra to do. Got a little free time in military retirement. Go become a yoga teacher. They always say, I want to give back. I just want to find a way to give back. Hey, here's a way to do it. So tell us what's going on this week and anything else you got going on that you want to promote or let us know about. Or if I can pull it up here, I'll do that.
Yeah. So we offer classes. Before I jump into VGW, so all of our classes are free for veterans, military families, and our community members. So we offer classes both online and in person. We have an app, Veterans Yoga Project is the app. You can download it, and we have at least 5 classes that happen every single day that vary in length and vary in practice. So some are shorter breathing or meditation practices. Some are movement practices, and some are guided rest practices. So guided rest is you just lay there, and we guide you through some breathing and some body awareness practices. So as a nonprofit, right, we are funded by grants and donations, and we are right in the middle of Veterans Gratitude Week, wherein we ask yoga teachers all around the country to hold a donation-based class. So as of, I don't know what the numbers are today, but we're hovering between 250 and 300 classes currently around the country. We've partnered with organizations like Lifetime Fitness, Yoga 6, Core Power, Yoga Works, Be Yogi. I know I'm missing a couple here. And who else? Oh, Yoga Fit. But yeah, they reached out to their communities and asked their communities to hold donation-based classes. And all of these donations raised will go to support our programming, to ensure our programming stays free, to support scholarships for veterans to go through our 200-hour yoga teacher training, to go through our Mindful Resilience for Trauma Recovery training. And yeah, donations are accepted all year long, but this is our week, VGW. And if you go to the website there, VGW 2023, sort of right next to the red donate button. Scroll down just a little bit. There you go. And this will highlight, we have Warrior Salute Week. So this week, we have a member of each branch of the military holding a donation-based yoga class. So here in just a short period of time, we have Coast Guard. So we've got a Coast Guard teacher. Yesterday we had Army. Tomorrow is Air Force. Thursday's Navy. And I'll teach the Marine Corps on the Marine Corps birthday on Friday.
And you're doing that live in a little bit, right?
Yeah. Our Coast Guard class is, I believe, at 3.
Very cool. Well, this is cool. And I love the fact that this is an actionable donation drive where you're giving the value, you're inviting people in. So cool. And so is there a way to find, like, if you have places to get involved near you, or where
Yes. So if you are looking for a class, you can go to practices and trainings. And there you can go to our online studio, and all of our classes are listed right there. We also have a practice library. So if joining a live class isn't your jam and you just want to try it and see what it's like, the practice library is another beautiful place to go. All of our practices are either on YouTube or SoundCloud. Some of them are more listening based than movement based or practice based. So those are all there. And if you're interested in volunteering, Get Involved is where you would go. There on the upper right just above VGW 2023. Get involved. We have a monthly giving program, and we also have all sorts of opportunities to volunteer. We are primarily a volunteer-based organization, so we are always welcoming in new volunteers.
Sure. Do they have to
It
be
sounds
yoga
like a great
certified?
effort, Brianna. No, it's awesome. It sounds really exciting. In fact, I'm inspired to jump onto your website here because it sounds like something, for all of us that are even as, we like to tell ourselves we're so busy we don't have time to do. It sounds like this is something that I might even be able to do just at my desk, right? As you log on and participate in a session or something.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So really no excuses, right? You're taking my excuse. You're crushing my excuse matrix, Brianna. Good on you. Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
No, Tori left us a comment saying he really appreciated this. Well, no, great. I'm excited about this to get to know you and to get involved and check out the program more. I mean, you got a lot on your website. This is one of the more robust veteran service organizations that I've seen. So no, I'm real proud of what you're doing and best of luck. And actually, can yoga instructors still get involved in the donation drive? Because my gym is doing their yoga class on Friday night, and so I could talk to our instructor, and that'd be so maybe other people listening could jump in on that. And if not, you could probably do a one-off. You don't have to do it this week, right? You can always donate. You can always do your own.
Absolutely. Yes. Donation-based classes are always welcome and encouraged. And you're welcome. If you ever have any questions, you can share my email with everybody. It's just Brianna@veteransyogaproject.org. Reach out to me. I'm happy to help however I can.
I know what we'll do, Mike. We'll do a yoga session on Tori's tiki boat.
Hey,
one of the people we interviewed started, one of Mike's members started a tiki boat business on the side. It's a big, wide, there's plenty of room. We get a couple of people.
I love it.
Well, I know you got a busy day, busy week. Thank you so much for sharing. Gosh, so many valuable insights. That's the cool thing about yoga. Yeah. It's just, hey, just be real, and so thank you. Come back, share, at any time and chat with us about stuff. We'd love to, be supporters of what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'd love to come back.
Thank you, Brianna. I love it. And just that, like we do talk mindset in our program and mind, body, soul, right? And to stay plugged into all of those kind of things. And so thanks for giving me something tangible now to kind of reiterate and pass on to a lot of our members, right? This is the tangible part of, mind and body and soul. This is a great way to kind of do that and to make sure that they're going to navigate that space, successfully, right? And deal with the stress accordingly. So it's an awesome activity, and thanks for sharing with us. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much.
Awesome. Well, all right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you found that valuable. If you're catching this at the end, make sure you go watch the whole thing. Go check out the Veterans Yoga Project. You might get a cat in the process. That would be cool.
I love it.
Those yoga cat videos are the best. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have a bunch of those. But, all right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thanks.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.